Yeah, L'chaim everyone. It's Shabbos, Pashas Ba'aleischa coming up. We're also within 2 weeks of Gimel Tammuz. And Ba'aleischa means when you, the meaning is when you light the candles, but Ba'aleischa literally means when you bring up the candles. And why does the Torah use the word Ba'aleischa when you bring up the candles for lighting the candles? Should have said Badlakoscha, whatever exactly the Hebrew diktuk is. Hadlak is the word for lighting. Ba'aleischa means to bring up. So Rashi says that Ba'aleischa means when you light the candle, you have to light the candle. The wick has to, the fire has to be embedded in the wick, that the fire should go up on its own. So that even halacha today, I don't know if too many people are aware, but when you light candles, you have to light like Hanukkah candles or Shabbos candles. You just take the shamish or the match and just give a flick with the match, and there's a little flame that's somehow connected with the wick. It takes time until it actually gets embedded and lights up. But really, according to Allah, you're supposed to wait until the same way it was done in the Beis Hamikdash, to wait until the fire really catches on and gets embedded in the wick, and then it goes up. So that's why the Torah uses the term Ba'aleischa. You have to light the candle. Don't just put some fire there and let the fire and the candle figure out together how to coexist, but you have to wait until the fire gets embedded in the wick. And another explanation that Rashi brings is that when the Kohen would light the candles or prepare the candles for lighting, he would stand on like a small ladder, it's 3 steps, and he would go up, Ba'aleischa would go up to light the candles. So there's many hayrois that could be learned from this. One fundamental hayroah is that people, when it comes to Yiddishkeit, there's different approaches a person could take. You could have an approach. Some people, their approach to Yiddishkeit is going to do mitzvahs or serve Davish because of fear. They're afraid of punishment or whatever it is. So fear is a very powerful force, but fear is not a very long-term solution, because a person is really fighting with himself and he's really not interested. And given the opportunity, he would try to, given the opportunity, he would try not to do the Torah mitzvahs. You have, on the other hand, you have a person who serves David out of inspiration. He has love, he has avos Hashem, he gets inspired. But many times, inspiration lasts for a few moments, for a little bit of time. It's a little bit of fire, some type of warmth, inspiration that a person gets, but it's not olam me'elah. It doesn't get embedded in the person. The trick is, what the lifelong trick of serving Davish is that the fire, the inspiration should become so much part of the person, it should be internalized of the person himself. You shouldn't have to inspire him from the outside. You shouldn't need outside inspiration, but he should be self-inspired to go higher and higher. And that is in general, when it comes to serving the Eibishter, we have, a person has an issue he wants to deal with, so sometimes he's going to see how bad the thing is, so temporarily he might be scared into not doing it, but eventually that will fade off. Or he could be inspired to do the right thing, that could also eventually fade off. He has to light up his own neshama. It has to come from within, and it has to be something which is internal and perpetual and consistent. Then it's continuous inspiration that comes from a person's own candle, from his own flame, from his own inspiration, that lasts. But that could take a long time. So this is the trick of Yiddishkeit. This is it's very easy to be inspired from the outside, but a person should do it on his own. Is a lifelong avodah. Another hayro we learn from this is that it says together with that, there was one song that went to the Rebbe. Somebody, I forget exactly who it was. It's my encounters. They have the story. He was, I guess it was during the 1970s when people were getting high on spirituality through smoking drugs and other substances. And he asked the Rebbe, maybe what's the essential problem with using out smoking drugs for Avodas Hashem? Some people, when they smoke drugs, whatever it is, they really would get on the high, Ba'aleischa, they would get very high. So, not getting into whether it's good or bad, but it was asking from the perspective of Avodas Hashem, if that inspires me to serve the Eibishter, why shouldn't I use it? So the Rebbe explained to him that serving the Eibishter shouldn't be done with external, forget exactly the right words, But something that, externally gets the person on the high, but it's not coming from within the person, is not what Avodas Hashem really is. Avodas Hashem means the person on his own should be inspired to do something, not that he takes some type of substance that gets him on the high. Which is the same thing. It might get you much higher if you're going on, you're getting an outside inspiration. But the trick is, it has to come from the person himself. And the same thing is in chinuch. Most importantly, we know that if you want to really get someone to remain, connected with Yiddishkeit as he grows up, you have to make sure that you have to hold the fire, so to say, by him until the fire gets embedded in the wick. It becomes part of him, becomes who he really is. Another lesson is that the idea of serving Hashem is called Bahaloischa. A person has to go up, which means it's not enough just to have a checklist and you accomplish what you did and you're 100% perfect. If a person wants to know that he's really connected with the Eibishter, that it's his neshama that's motivating him to serve the Eibishter, as if he's always in a state of aliyah, he's always going higher and higher. The neshama is never satisfied with the way it was yesterday. If a person just doing whatever he's doing and he's doing everything right, it could be complete. He finished the checklist, but he's missing something. He's not going higher. It's not shalava seilam me'elah. That's another testing ground to know if it's really part of the person. Does the person constantly feel the need to grow and grow, or he justifies with the way he was for the past 20 years? So he's doing stuff, but he's not involved in it. It's not coming from within him. If he's really inspired, he should be growing and wanting more and going higher and higher. Another lesson which is connected with helping other people is Bahalois. When you want to influence someone else, you have to go up yourself. You can't. It's very easy for some. You have to lead by example. It's very easy for someone to tell somebody else. They say the story that a person was having a son who was becoming bar mitzvah, and he was giving him a whole, checklist of everything he has to do. From now on, you're not going to talk during davening, and you're not going to do this, and you're going to do this. And the son is listening and looking at his father, and finally, after he finishes hearing everything, asks his father. He says, "Tati, when are you going to become bar mitzvah?" You understand? He gave him a whole, what to do, but he wasn't leading by example. So the Torah tells us, "Bahaloischa," when you want to bring someone else up, you have to go up yourself. The Kohen has to go up on a ladder. You can't demand more from other people if you yourself don't. You go up yourself. You can't communicate something by just shooting out a few words. Anyway, what does this all have to do with Gimel Tammuz? So, whatever it is, whatever we're still stuck in Galus, whatever it is, I have no idea. But definitely one message of Gimel Tammuz on this current avodah that we have is that it shall have us Eilam Me'elah. It's clearly our avodah now is we have to be self-inspired. We can't rely on people that were around the Rebbe for many years. Whatever it is, I don't think they're gonna, I'm not, plenty of things they still have to work on themselves, certain basic lines they might not cross. But today's day and age, you see very clearly, a person has to work, a person has to be self-inspired. If not, after Gimel Tammuz, it's really up to us. What did the Rebbe say? Give the Sibir, gets Yedrin Fanaich. It has to be that it's coming from us, and you can't bring Mashiach just by external, just doing something externally. It has to be something that's who you really are, and this is you're making it. You're changing the world by changing yourself, not just by doing something and you're involved in other things. It has to be Bahalois. You have to go up. You have to be involved in it, inspired with it, and you have to go up with it, and not just throw out a flame of fire and let it catch on to it whichever way it goes. So anyway, those are a number of Hayrois on Bahalois. It's also one very important Hayra. Bahalois is a very big parish with many different things. There's one powerful Hayra in general that Rebbe spoke about. When Yidden traveled in the desert, their journeys were very interesting. Sometimes they were in one place for 18 years. Sometimes they were in a place overnight. But many times in life, there's certain things that are unexpected. For one night, for one day, you landed somewhere. Certain situations came upon you that were completely not unexpected. And a person has to know, the same way when Yidden were in the desert, wherever they traveled, they had a GPS, the Eibusha sent a cloud to direct them their way. So wherever a person, any situation a person finds himself, a person can say, oh, this wasn't what I was expecting. This is just an abnormal, temporary lull to what I was expecting. Wherever you are, you have to realize that's what the Eibusha wants. If a person is a real pnimi, person is really internally connected with the Eibishter. So wherever he is, there's something to be connected with. It could be overnight. When Yidden traveled overnight, they stayed in one place overnight, they set up, pitched camp, and set up the Mishkan exactly as if were staying there for 18 years. So in Tef, it doesn't make sense when you're staying overnight somewhere, you take a tent, you pitch it, take a little bit of food. You're not going to set up camp like you're staying here forever. But the message is that in Yiddishkeit, even an overnight trip that is ordained by the Eibush, and everything is ordained by the Eibush, is an eternity. A small thing is an eternity. A small mission in life that you end up really is an eternity. And it could be something very small, but in a certain place to help another Jew, to say a bracha, to say a kapitel tzulim, who knows what, but is being led by the Eibush. Anyway, the bottom line is we always speak about Ahavas Yisrael. And Ba'alois Chosel is a very important message. How are you able to light up the Jew? Who lit the menorah was Aaron HaKohen. What was the hallmark of Aaron's Avodah? Aaron's Avodah was Oyev Shalom, Roidev Shalom. Chassidus explains Aaron was Avodah Vav Rab, a very intense love. If you want to bring a light up, you scream at a candle, he's not going to light. If you scream at the darkness, it's not going to go away. You have to light a candle. To light it, you have to show a lot of love. And that was the Avodah of Aaron. So Ba'alois Chosel is Aaron's great love. He was able to bring out the light in every Jew. But at the same time, again, it's not enough. We have to light up ourselves. We have to light up another Jew. There has to be a lot of love, but it also has to be, you have to internalize it. It shouldn't just be, something coming from the outside.
You have to be on fire.
We have to be on fire, that's right. That's what fire is. Fire is continuously going up. And if the person is in that state, then, he reached his potential. But as long as a person is still, trying to force himself to follow the program, then he's doing very great things. Iskafi is a very great avodah, but he should aspire to reach Ba'aloischa, to go up, to light up the world, light up himself. And just to finish off one last thing about the end of the Pasha, about Ahavas Yisrael, Miriam spoke about Moshe Rabbeinu, right? The whole story over there. I don't want to get into all the details, and she got saras. Now, if you think about it, we say that Miriam was speaking Lashon Hara. Technically, it wasn't Lashon Hara. Let's put it this way. Miriam was Moshe Rabbeinu's older sister. She took care of him from when he was, right? She was the one that watched over him when he was thrown into the river, when he was put into the basket. And she was a family member, and she was speaking to another family member because she was genuinely concerned about Moshe Rabbeinu's quote-unquote Shalom Bayis, right? That was what was going on. She overheard that Moshe Rabbeinu separated himself from his wife.
She was a typical older sister.
So she thought, but she wasn't a typical older sister. She was a tzaddik, she was a neviah.
Her problem was that she didn't discuss it with Moshe, that she spoke to somebody else.
And she didn't speak derogatory about Moshe. She was just speaking with her brother, not with social media, speaking with her brother about a genuine concern. The mistake was that Moshe Rabbeinu, she should have realized, is a completely different league. There's nothing to question.
What she should have done was go over to Moshe and have a discussion with him. Why go behind his back?
Absolutely. So the lesson is that's also called Iskei Diba. It's a very powerful thing. You're talking. You're not talking. You're not trying to hurt the other person.
It's like me talking to you about Moshe Frank. If I have a problem with Moshe Frank, I should go talk to him about it.
That's the lesson is self-understood, and it's a lesson in Ahavas Yisrael. Ahavas Yisrael in a very dakistic way, how important it is not to hurt someone, even when you're really out there to help them, and you're really seemingly not doing anything wrong. But there's
even
if
it's a sibling.
Well, again,
Yisrael applies to siblings.
Ahavas Yisrael starts at home, they say. Not that it ends at home. It starts at home. The Rebbe said that the Ava of Chassidim should be like one mishpacha. It says Chassidim love each other more than one mishpacha, but the right Chassidim name mishpacha. Anyway, the ikid is we should have Mashiach now, and every one of our neshama should be lit up, and we should chase away the darkness, and we should be reunited with the Rebbe and have transformation of all negative things that are going on to good, and we don't have to argue if this should have happened, that should have happened. Mashiach will come and he'll take care of everything.
I hope so.